So you don't have to. Yeah, but it's not so on the ground. I don't have a gavel, but we'll call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock on Monday, July 17th, 2024, at the town hall upstairs. We need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. So we'll. Second. Okay.
Sorry, I'm sorry. We have a cemetery deed that we need to approve. So,
So that will be amended.
yeah, could we just have that as
Okay, when do you want to do that on the business?
wherever you're going?
Yeah, let's do it on the business. Okay.
Okay, let's do it just before the business.
Yeah, do it 9 a.
Okay.
Okay, so is everybody still in favor of the amended agenda?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We have the minutes of, June 3rd. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of June 3rd as presented? If not, somebody make a motion to approve the minutes of June 3rd, 2022. We got that?
I got it.
No discussion, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. Okay, Green Mountain Power, you are up.
Good evening.
Would
My
you
name
like
is
to-
Dan Austin. This is my colleague Tim Jones, informational meeting for a project that we're continuing along Route 121. It started in Westminster. We're complete through Rockingham, and we're going to be coming into Grafton. Hopefully, the project will be shovel ready for September of this year. I'm not at a point where I have plans that I can present, because we're still working out a few details with private property owners, but we're getting very close. So we thought it was appropriate to come by, make the informal statement, and then we'll be contacting Colby Record to write out the job with us and make sure that the poll locations will work. And we're here to field any questions.
Can you explain the project to us?
Yes, it's a climate resiliency project, which is better known as service reliability. So currently Grafton is the electricity is served from Chester on Route 106, just north of the Stone Village. The new circuit will come from Westminster, off the back Westminster Road. There's a substation there. It's all roadside construction. And the new construction is a much more durable, storm resilient type of construction. Hollow poles, heavier gauge wire, very few cross sections. Most of the configuration of the poles, the conductors and wires are bundled together with a very heavy duty steel messenger on the top, which serves as a guard. So it's a big plus for tree strikes or avoiding tree strikes.
So this is all above ground, nothing underground.
There's a wee bit of underground, and we put a careful eye to where we can put underground. Now, this type of construction will eventually, in time, allow us to tie between substations. So the gauge of the wire has to be significant, has to be pretty good wire. The piece of underground that we're entertaining is on Chris Gates' property down near the bridge going to Cambridge Port. And it's about 600 feet of high voltage underground. Last July, I think it was the 11th and 12th during the flood, the storm. We lost 2 poles on the riverbank here. So we know that was an area that if we could relocate, we should. Chris is in agreement with it. So that is the one piece of high voltage underground designated for the project.
When you put it underground, you're gonna interfere with the other, like detail and wires and.
Yeah.
How do you negotiate that?
Well, DigSafe will tell us what is in the ground there. This piece on Chris's property, there's no existing underground utilities. In that area, so we're clear.
When you switch over from Westminster, what happens to are we still being fed by Chester, or is that gonna be eliminated?
Eliminated. There will be an open point where if we have, for some reason, lose the feed out of back Westminster sub, that we can reconnect with Chester, and that will be in the Fisher Hill area.
Does that affect the Hopeville area at all?
It will, because the source is coming out of the back Westminster sub instead of the Chester sub. The three-phase line from Chester kind of goes over Hill and Dale, especially up over Fisher Hill.
Yeah.
And some of it's in the woods and it's prone to tree strikes. So when the project is complete, all of Grafton will be under the new circuit out of Westminster.
So your start date is September 24th.
Well, we're not exactly sure. We want, the term we use is shovel ready. We want to be able to say by September of this year, 2024, we're gonna have everything ready. We're gonna have our permits in place. We're gonna have our material lined up. And we're gonna have our contractors available.
And what effect on what you put underground is gonna affect the road or the right of way? You
So
mentioned-
sorry, all of the right of way on Gates property is on private property.
And how would you use Kobe?
Excuse me.
How would you use Kobe?
Well, as highway foreman, he's got to maintain the roads. Plow, ditch, etc. So Kobe wants to put a critical eye for where the poles are. Do we need to move one back? Should this one be moved? You know, it's the detail that he has to work with his crew. As to not interfere with routine road maintenance.
I noticed that the new poles are so much higher than the old ones.
They're much taller, but the advantage to that is, as you, with taller poles, you start to approach the top of the crown of the tree. So you're less likely to have large limb strikes.
So what happens to the old little poles? Are they gonna eventually come out, or are they gonna?
Yes, after communications have transferred, and that's the secret. Right?
So they're gonna use the
Yes,
new poles.
right, right.
Anybody have anything else? Yeah, so that,
So are you gonna start the project in September of 2024?
We anticipate that. We can't put an exact time on it, but during at the current point in progress that we are with the project, that seems like a reasonable estimate.
And what kind of traffic is that?
Whenever the crews are working on 121, they have traffic management crews with them. So we are not talking about road closure. We're talking about we would disrupt traffic flow in one lane, and we'd have people on site to direct traffic.
so,
Yes, Lisa. And how long do you expect the construction to go on? The estimate?
No, and that would depend on the contractor that's awarded the bid and the resource that they bring to site. So that has to be fleshed out, but that will come forward. So
Is there like a very rough range? Are we talking weeks, months?
months,
Months.
yeah, similar to what has already taken place in Rockland and Westminster. So the sequence is the new poles with the ground, excavation for the underground takes place. And the tree crews come in there after do the tree work. Once the tree work is complete, then the wire crews can come in and start conducting the new wire to the new poles.
nothing about the project, but there is a crew going around now on the roads. Is that something you guys have?
tree proof.
There's
Yes,
a couple of trucks there and then pruning all the branches near wires and all those kind of things.
Right.
Is that something you,
Yeah, that's the Green Mountain Cow, correct.
okay,
routine meetings.
okay. Anything else? Toby, you have anything?
So, well, I'll reach out to you next week,
Yeah,
we'll take a run,
yeah, we do that.
okay, call you nice and early, right?
Yeah. We're before 6:30.
Okay,
We're only out the door by then.
okay, I can do that, okay, we'll talk then.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Okay, Toby, highway report. We have the tree on North Orchard Road.
Yeah, that,
Joe, may I interrupt? Could you please ask Foley to come up front so that we can really hear as well? And the people on Zoom here.
I looked at the tree the other day, and it's nothing we can cut, it's in between their house and power lines. It's not. It's definitely in our right of way, it's right against the edge of the road, but it's nothing I can, it's dead. And normally we pull them over with the excavator or something, but it's just so small and so rotted, there's no way I can do it without knowing it's not gonna hit the house, so,
But we have to do it, it's our responsibility,
yeah,
according to the
yeah.
ordinance.
Yeah.
So can we get a whole rice and?
I have not had very good luck with it.
Thank you.
So we're gonna call a couple other people and see if I can get someone else to come in. He was supposed to cut the trees on, Hinkley Brook, and that's still yet to be done, so I kind of moved on, to another company, so I can give, TJ Carroll a call and, see if it's something he can do or interested in doing. Odds are you probably could get right to it if I get a hold of him, so I can call him tomorrow and see if he's interested in it and get a price on it. TJ does have workers' comp.
I think we have to notify her though, that she was concerned that who was gonna pay for the removal of the tree.
I have her contact,
And
so
so-
I'll call her in the morning
Yeah.
and let her know that the town's gonna pay us.
Rickett Road easement,
That is for a turnaround for us with dump trucks. Lester Schwab, where we normally turn around, has got a driveway redone and no longer wants us pulling in there with the dump trucks during the winter. It does tear his driveway up quite a bit trying to get up in there, so he's given us permission to put a pull off in across from his house. And you have the paper I gave you.
Yes.
do we have to do anything
I
there?
just need a motion to approve the easement and then Lester will come in and have it notarized with Kim. And it'll go on Friday.
And it probably, I might have a day's worth of work into it and it'll be done. But there's nowhere, I mean, if it's that or back, all the way down, back to the bottom of the hill, so. He's been pretty nice and it does mess his driveway quite a bit every year. So,
So anyone make a motion?
Yeah, so move.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor of giving the turnaround? Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Paving projects, coming down to the time, we need to do something. We have a grant, plus we have funds.
we have you signed all the?
So I haven't signed it yet, but we have a grant through V-Trans for $200,000. And when we applied, it was for the section of road, between Doug Road and Margot Max driveway.
Yes.
Yeah, then I reached out to Megan at V-Trans and said that there was some discussion about doing other sections of road in town, and she said that she just needs guidance. We can either keep the grant specific to the section of road that we applied for, or we can make the language more broad and say paving X amount of miles on Route 121. So kind of making it more broad, however, we did get an estimate from a contractor for that specific section of road. So, I mean, a lot of things play into that, but I just need to let her know what to write in the grant agreement and then we can sign it.
That section of road that we made the grant for is when we use 80% of our patch throughout the year. And plus, we also use the most amount of salt down through that section too. I mean, it's just so far out of whack. I don't know, the only thing we did kind of, me and Morgan discuss a little bit for an idea. Is whether or not if we could, I mean, we're getting kind of late in the year now to get it done. And keep paving in November, it was like what we did last year, when it snowed in between some of the paving that he did. I'm kind of wondering if we should wait till next spring and schedule it for, get a bid. And do it for next spring when we have more money to add on top of it and do another section as well. On a different section of the road.
How much do we have other than the grant?
I think with the grant.
No,
and
not
what-
the grant.
Well, what we have, what, 118 we
Yeah.
budgeted for this year, we only spent. And probably 37 or 47,000 from our reserve. Then you would add the 200 from this grant. Plus, our fiscal year is now turned over
Right.
July 1st, we'll have another 120, so you'd be looking at like, what, 468 maybe
Yeah.
for paving next year to do.
Yeah.
Large projects in
Yeah.
the spring.
I could get probably quite a bit done. And if we wait, I mean, it's up it's up to you guys, really. If you want to try to get one in here now. The only issue is, I mean, Basin's odds are gonna win the bid like normal. And last year, he was really struggling to get it in here before winter. So if we could see if we could get him to bid it for next year. And then have him come in the spring. When it's better time for him to do it too, and really get some, couple sections done.
Can we use it, can the grant be carried over?
Yes.
If we wait to spring, what's the total on the?
What's the
What-
total?
what would be-
It'll be like 460, because we'll add the 120 that we just budgeted to begin July 1st next month.
That's 470.
Yes.
So what is the board's? What's the feeling? Can we wait?
What's Hickory's rough road now? Gonna get rougher too, isn't it?
If I do it now, then I'm not only gonna be doing a little tiny bit next year. I mean, if we do it. I mean, I can make it last till next year and have them come first thing in the spring and we have more roads going bad, worse. Road is getting worse. Faster than we can get them paid. I mean, we're never gonna be able to catch up. Eventually, the roads are all gonna be like that and. I mean, you can't do, what are you gonna do with $120,000 a year? I mean,
Not much.
you can't do most people's driveways for that, so.
So the question is, do we want to wait? Okay,
Is the quality of the paving less as it in the fall than it is if we were to wait till
I don't think so.
spring and summer?
Well, I mean, when he's paving and the ground's starting to freeze, it's kind of a risk.
but you don't also want to pay during Columbus weekend and.
Wow, that was
And that's what happened 2 years ago. We don't want to have another-
Summer.
that was a whole different situation, but. Yeah, I don't, I mean, we don't have to, we're not gonna be, I'm going to schedule it for Columbus weekend, obviously, but. It's whether or not he'll have time, I mean, we're getting really close to the time of year where all these companies are gonna be jam packed and. I mean, I don't wanna have to have a company come in almost December and do it and then have it snow and. You know, it'd be all ruined.
So what is the board, what's the feeling? Are we waiting? Yeah, wait to spring.
Well, I think if you're gonna wait, then, when we have it done, we get put bids out that we state it's going to be done in the spring and not close. to
Well, yeah. But, I mean, I think it'll be better for us, I mean, it might be a better deal if we can get a couple some good sized jobs for next spring and they do them both while they're here. I mean, it might be. I don't know, I can talk to them and see if it's gonna help us or not in the end.
Well, someone want to make a motion then to delay paving until next spring?
Do we wanna do that, or do we find out first?
Yeah, I think we should.
I think it'd be better to do it in spring.
John made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
That is to
To
delay.
delay to next spring.
And then in terms of the grant, do we keep the language specific to that section of road or moving?
Maybe broad. Yeah, pretty broad, I agree.
If we make it, I'll have to work on that. I might need some guidance.
Okay. All right, any other discussion?
Especially, would it be worthwhile to coordinate with GMP in the fall or in the spring? Might you be, what, I have no idea.
On the project they're working on 121, they should be definitely wrapped up with that by spring also.
Should they? Okay,
Then we don't have to worry about them down there as well.
that makes sense, just
Yeah.
promise, you guys are on the same page, so certainly.
No, that'd be a mess.
Any other comments? If not, all in favor of delaying it to next spring? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, transportation alternative grant.
So we talked about this last meeting, this is the grant for the Fisher Hill culvert number 10 that was going to take years to execute. And after doing some more research, there is a hazard mitigation grant program available to municipalities, and there's about $90 million available to the state. And so we talked about applying for multiple different projects for that grant application. I can't guarantee that we're going to get anything from it, but we do have a list of about 6 or 7 projects to apply for. So hopefully we get that, but I wrote the transportation alternatives grant on here because if we decide to apply for the hazard mitigation program, we will need to send the transportation alternatives grant program a formal decline letter or some type of written statement saying that we're no longer going to that fund.
When is the deadline before we have to notify them?
For the transportation, we didn't say any deadline. But if we are the pre-applications for the hazard mitigation grant is not due until August 16. So I don't think we can wait until we know about that outcome to send a letter.
Is the alternative grant, if we apply for it, is that an assurance that we're gonna get it?
Yeah.
Okay,
But that's the grant program that's taking years. and-
right, I understand that,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's a surety. The other one is not. I just want to make it clear.
But I would like some guidance if I am to write a letter or to wait.
So what is the thinking?
I'd write the letter. If she doesn't miss out on the deadline.
I mean, we have one grant that we'll have, the other one we don't have.
But you also need $70,000 to go with
Right,
it.
where, do we need any money for the other ones?
So that grant program, the match is covered by the Vermont Emergency Management,
Oh, okay.
so it would be zero cost.
It's even better.
So do we need a motion or do? or we
I
just-
would, if we want to send a decline letter, I guess I would make a motion to authorize myself to do that.
Is that,
Why don't you wait until you find out about the other one before you write?
Let me ask about the timeline to see how soon it
okay,
is.
why don't we put this on the next, another meeting?
If I get an answer.
Yeah, okay.
What are the odds of getting it?
I would assume most towns in the state are going to apply for a number of projects, so I don't have a number for you, but,
Should we apply for more than one then?
oh, we have a list of like 6.
Rather than starting to apply for it,
Colby, you have anything you
we
wanna?
have better chances of getting.
For the Winchester Highway Part,
Yeah,
we finished all construction on Right Orchard Road. We're just gonna seed it now, we'll do that on one of the rainy days. And we are gonna replace a culvert on Fisher Hill, so Fisher Hill will be closed by, in between David Rogers driveway and, the old dump. From 8 to noon, I think you said it was gonna be, right, Morgan?
And that's Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while we're there, we're replacing the driveway culvert just up the road also. And then we're going back out to 121. From just above South Projects all the way to the end of the Wyndham Town line, and gonna get ditched, and we're gonna cut some trees out there after we get done with the culvert. That should be about all I got right now.
you gonna do any chloride?
Tomorrow, we're gonna grade Right Orchard Road and chloride that, and we're gonna go around and get a couple of really bad dusty spots, and we'll just kind of scuff them up and put a little chloride on them.
Anybody have anything of, anything for Colby?
More mowing,
When I get some time, been a little busy right now. We've been trying to do it on every Friday. I go out and I mow, one of us grades. But the rest of the week, we've been pretty busy with the three of us all together.
Well, you've done some mowing already, I've seen that.
Yeah, Townsend Road is done. We've mowed all the bad bamboo spots pretty much. And now we're gonna start working on 121. Get that done. Only be about a day, we should be able to have 121, with each section, dirt and blacktop, a day apiece. It'll be done.
Anything else with Colby? Or highway?
good answer.
Suzanne?
No, after you, please. Yeah.
Oh, I see they did the yellow lines today. Were they gonna do some stop signs or, I mean,
Are they doing stop
painting a
bars?
stop sign out here?
I have reached out to a local town, because we've had a terrible time getting a contractor to come into town and paint those. So I am working on it and I'll follow up with them by Wednesday this week. Yeah, but we're hoping that they'll come in and there's about, I think, 8 spots throughout the town in general that need stop lines. So,
And down in Kingsport.
yeah, exactly.
Well, I just mentioned it because I thought, oh, they're doing the lines, they're gonna paint the white ones too.
No, that company just does the lines.
That the state that do that?
Yes.
Anything else? Suzanne?
Thank you. I have a question for you, John. Would you just refresh our memory how, whether the single lane for the Walker Bridge will still be in effect in September of 2024?
Oh, yeah.
In September, I'm gonna say that it will be. They plan on it being done by November. But
It'll be open.
it just looks to be like that center pier is taking so much time. And they just sort of today there's been delay on it, and I just cannot see them, have it done.
I talked to him yesterday, Friday, he said that they'll have both lanes open on the new bridge, it just will not be paved.
Well, that's what they keep saying, but,
Yeah.
we get updates on the financials and stuff, and they're pushed off some of our share into the 25 season, so that'll be something that they say it's gonna be the seeding and the mulching and stuff but maybe they will, but there's still a lot to do.
Thank you. So just to get our heads around it, we could be looking at traffic disruption on 121 due to GMP, single lane on Walker Bridge, all during the month of September
Yeah.
and October, which is the height of our tourist season. So
Yeah.
I think we just have to be mindful of that.
Anything else? If not. Wyndham County Sheriff, you're on. How are you?
I'm well, how are you? Good. What's a good spot for me to be? Standing here, good?
That's fine.
Great. Well, thank you for taking the time tonight to have us. I do come with an apology and I shared that in writing with the town administrator earlier today. The town of Grafton entered into a contract with my department back in July, which was for roughly 8 hours per month. In December, it was amended to increase it to 14 hours. On the business side of my operation, that worked out. On the operations side of my business, it did not. And so my scheduling function just continued scheduling the original contract. It was never updated in our system that drives how we track the number of hours we deliver. The problem being is that the town of Grafton's already paid for, so tonight I do come with a check to cover the difference of what we billed over the original contract in the amendment, but did not provide any service for. We didn't earn the money, I don't want to have it. So we are returning it's roughly $2,500, don't hold me exactly to that number, another $2,500 that the amendment added into it. And then we are on track to deliver the remainder of the original contract for the end of this fiscal year. So that's one piece. Second piece is that my scheduler left my office in April, which I brought in a new person to do the scheduling, but the problem is they thought that people were assigned to shifts. The shifts were created, but the people weren't assigned. So we saw it as it's been filled, and when we look back at the report, we said, why did nobody do anything? Morgan's diligence and watching the STARS reports, she brought it to our attention, we were able to see what happened. So I do apologize for those two issues. But with that said, those are proactive times that we were coming out on our own to say that we're here to address the contract as normal. One thing I can say, and I brought Robert Lakin, who I'm sure most of you know. When the town has asked for service from us, we have always made sure to address those needs. We just had one occur the other day, which I can't speak too much in depth to, Robert will be able to, but we do make sure that when the town has an issue that needs to be addressed, we're here to help you support that. I would like to support the town at the higher rate. We should have been doing it at the higher rate. We had a mistake and an error, which I'll own, it's what it is. That said, I also will note with our contract, there's a clause in it that has a renewal. So I want to be very clear, whatever we do with our current negotiated contract, you still will have service while we figure that out. If you don't want to decide it tonight, that's fine, you'll still have service. We have that renewal clause continues the original terms of the contract until we can either rehash it or we terminate it. If you decide you want to terminate it, we screwed up, we made an error. You don't want our service anymore, you can issue a 30-day no cause termination of the contract. It's for your convenience, and we can end it. It would be pretty much 2 weeks into June if we did it today. I'm sorry, into July.
The new contract has 14 hours in it. That was why we didn't sign it. We just wanted to know, can you live up to that 14 hours?
We can. I just had 3 people graduate from Vermont Police Academy. We're always forecasting about 12 months out when we're hiring. So I just got 3, which we're now at the correct capacity for what we currently have, but we already know we have more requests for more services and more towns. So we're always playing this almost chicken egg problem of how many is the right number, but we do always hire a little bit higher than what we think we're going to need. One of the issues that law enforcement has had for some time, and we've been fortunate in the problem, but has had for some time, is that it's very much an employee, an employee's market as opposed to the employer's market. So it's very easy for the law enforcement agencies to hire away trained, qualified candidates. But we've also been fortunate in the same regard of hiring away from other agencies. So it's a factor. We're always paying attention to it. Staffing wise, we can certainly satisfy the 14 hours. No concerns with that.
So to be clear, you will be able to give us those hours.
Yes. Okay. We were able to do it the last 6 months. We just didn't apply the number in our scheduling program that tells us how many hours are required each period.
I do wanna make a quick comment that since I reached out to, Mark and, Mr. Lakin, they have, according to the STARS portal, been in the town of Grafton for 18.25 hours, just in this month, so the last two and a half weeks. So I just say that to say that they were very responsive, and, as it was explained, I think it was just a mistake, so hopefully we can move forward.
So if somebody wants your service, a resident has a problem or sees something, what number do they call? Do they call 911?
If it's an emergency, always call 911.
Yeah.
What that will do, is ensure that the, it will be for the town of Grafton will be the state police. If we're in the town, we let the state police know, okay, we can intervene, we're here. With the small amount of hours that the town contracts for, it's very risky to designate us as the 911 agent, but this is also part of the reason why we're working on a regionalized policing project, which is to say the way that we're currently doing it is not probably the most efficient. And accessing the law enforcement resources, we could do it in better ways. One of the questions Morgan asked in our inquiry, town of Londonderry and Jamaica currently share a full-time deputy. So they each pay for 20 hours, which allows that deputy to provide services for both the towns for those 40 hours, 20 hours paid by each town. That was their way to try to get an increase to resources. And what the regional policing project does is say, how do we take geographically located towns with different abilities to pay and different needs, and how do we make access to the resources easier? So we're working on trying to improve that. Town of Grafton's been involved in that conversation. And we're meeting again this Friday to lay forward a plan, what we'd like to push the next 6 months, and potentially work with legislators on a pilot program for.
What does an individual do that's not an emergency?
So the town has access to 2 services. Service number 1 is the emergency call 911. Service number 2, you have access to the state police. They are the town's police force.
Okay.
We provide a supplemental policing service, which means we will come out. So if you call my office, we might not be in town today. But you need a VIN verification. It's not an emergency. You just want to register your vehicle. We can schedule someone to come up and take care of that within the next few days. We've had, and Robert can probably speak to it, we've had complaints about motor vehicle issues, and so it's like, okay, we don't need to be there right this second, but we'll start focusing patrols in those areas. You can call my office, or I'll say call my office, which is 365-4942, and we're able to report the complaints and schedule people for service.
So
Anybody have any more questions for the sheriff? Kathy?
is there any, I know you go on a lot of calls and a lot of different situations, is there any situations that are happening in our area that folks should be aware of, residents or?
You want to speak to that, Robert? What's the question again?
I'm just wondering, you guys go on lots of calls in different situations. Is there any situations that the townspeople here, residents here, that live in the village or live out from the village, more isolated, that we should be aware
Well, the only recent complaint I've actually spoken of was actually running radar down here, was an incident on Eastman Road involving a drone. Somebody's had a drone going over their house.
of?
So that's kind of new to Vermont law, so I did my research on that, and I followed up with this resident who claimed there's drones going there. I spoke to neighbors. He was the only resident that actually said he had a drone flying over. Although one of the neighbors did say that on Memorial Day that there was a drone that his relative had that was flying, but I don't know if that was coincidental or not. I spoke to both sides. Obviously, like any communities, drugs are a big factor everywhere. There's been different roads I've been called to just patrol and look for drug activity. The problem is if you have a limited amount of hours in your town, the number one complaint obviously is motor vehicle enforcement, speeders. You go on these secluded areas, which is why they're utilized, it's kind of a waste of resource, so you just try to make your presence and more be off. With motor vehicle, there's peak times for motor vehicle, usually early morning, afternoons. So in the downtime in between, that's where we try to go and hit these other locations where maybe there's drug activity going on. I personally have not actually seen the syringes or any indication of drug activities in the 3 places I've been told about, although I have done my research and there are some people in the area that are using drugs.
Thank you.
2 things I can say from the broader legislative perspective, because I worked on the bills. One is that there's a drone bill that was just passed, which for under state law limits a drone flying less than 100 feet over a property. One of the difficulties is that airspace is governed by the FAA. And so there are ways that you can report complaints to the FAA. They are ultimately the enforcement arm to deal with drone activity. Under 100 feet, you do require written permission from the property owner. Vermont law enforcement now, or will soon, I guess it'll be July 1st, will soon have the authority to enforce this law. We don't have the technology, so now this is a new game because nobody's teaching us because it's always been the domain of the federal government. Second thing is, and this has been, I won't say it's common to Grafton, but I say to rural communities like Grafton, where people were breaking into motor vehicles. One of the bills that the legislature passed this year makes it a crime to trespass into a person's vehicle. So you can't knowingly enter someone's vehicle without knowing you have permission to do so. That hasn't been illegal up until now, which still blows my mind, but the second somebody takes something out of your car, that's illegal. So now getting into the cars, or as of July 1st, I believe it now. So those are 2 things that rural Wyndham County has been looking at or dealing with, more so on the second one for Wyndham County, but we do have the drone bill in effect now. Dark drivers.
We have had a couple of incidents of firearms shooting in residential neighborhoods after dark. And that has been reported to the state police. Is that the proper procedure? Is there anything the sheriff's department could help in that situation?
We could certainly, so in the same sense, if it's an emergency, that's call 911. Someone's shooting at night, so obviously call 911. If there's just gunfire, if it's before 10 p.m. at night, under state law, that's not illegal. And so then it becomes a question of, is it dangerous? And so you can say it's in a residential neighborhood, but that doesn't necessarily make it dangerous. We have a law called reckless endangerment that says if basically you're putting others in danger, then that's an issue. So we can certainly look into it. If it's, hey, every Friday night there's gunfire, we can schedule. If it's, hey, it's 9 at night on Tuesday and the gunfire just began. If I have someone here, we're happy to go look. If we don't have someone here, then that's harder. So that's why I would say probably call the state police if it's happening right now. And if we're here, we'll come. I don't know if the town has an ordinance for gunfire.
A lot of noise ordinance a while back from those concerts over there, I believe.
Now, what about the thing about dark? Because it gets dark much earlier in winter than in summer. And this has been, we had a couple of incidents after dark, but it was certainly before 10 p.m., but it's pitch black dark. And so does that make any difference?
Under reckless endangerment, maybe, but again, we have to then prove why it's dangerous. Under noise in the nighttime, no, because we're talking about noise. So there may be fish and wildlife violations, and again, they dispatch, the state police dispatch for fish and wildlife, so sometimes the dispatcher might recognize this is a call for fish and wildlife, that it's not for the state police. So again, if it's happening right now, it probably makes sense to call the state police.
Yeah, and they dispatched the game warden because that's a suspicion.
Correct.
But if you have a common pattern of when this is occurring,
Yeah.
reach out to our office.
Okay,
We can make ourselves available to try to intervene, have intervention, speak to whoever's shooting and say, look,
yeah,
this isn't good, you're upsetting your neighbors.
yeah, we do have a pattern. in the shaded area, no, we do.
Patrick, you have any hand up?
Yeah, I just, I'm looking for the clarification, the scope of the policing that you're currently contracted for, that law working now. Is that limited to motor vehicle things, or do you police all kinds of issues?
We have the capability of policing all kinds of issues, and so this is where I then talk about the very common sense dollars and cents. One burglary investigation, I could spend 2 to 3 months of the town budget. Does it make sense for me to do it or for the state police to do it? And so we start to get into the what should we do, what can we do? Hey, it's a burglary, we have an itemized list of these things, it didn't take 40 hours, it took 40 minutes. And basically it's an open shut, problem solved. Sure, that makes sense for us to do, so we do somewhat triage as best we can. What we have been seeing is an increase of call volume coming from the state police to us. Because they said, well, you have a contract, so just do it. And there's times where we will then take it back to them and say, no, this came in and you need to investigate it, this is your call. We have that relationship where we're able to work that out.
So your scope is not limited by the contract?
I wouldn't say it's unlimited, we do, I don't have it right in front of me, I don't have it memorized, we do have a scope of work that we do, but we're generally considered a supplemental force for the town. If I see the homicide happen, we can work. But that said, we usually don't see it.
The trespassing issue or something like that, I would be calling, not 911 maybe, right? So would I call the sheriff's office or the state?
You can, and if we don't have anyone there, we would transfer you to the state police. And so if you call that number, I mean, you're gonna get someone. We recognize when we're there, and if you call my office and we're not there, we'll transfer you to the state police.
Yes,
I'd like to, bring up a subject that I, have seen get worse and worse. And I walk the roads, Fisher Hill Road a lot, I walk the Cheese Field, I walk all these roads with my animal and, dog. And I've noticed over the years, and I work at the Nature Museum on the weekends. And I've noticed, I've been there 3 years, lived in Grafton now 8 years, walking the roads, and the speeding is getting worse and worse and worse. And I also work at the inn part-time, and we have to cross the street often with the vacuum cleaners and with laundry sacks and different things. And I'd like to run across the road because the cars come flying through. When you're trying to back out with the NKT, the cars that come around from the post office, from the inn direction and down towards the market, literally you take your life in your hands trying to back out or cross the street there. When there's just no clear, people don't really seem to care about their feet. On Saturday, I was working at the Nature Museum, and around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, a dark colored pickup truck, which seems to be the person that speeds around a lot. I don't know what kind of, it's a pickup truck, but I think has like a lift kit on it. It's a louder pickup truck. I can't say it's black or gray, it's dark colored. And I see it speeding around, and that's why I can't really describe it fully. But I've, been witness to it a lot. And, so on Saturday, I was really witness to it because I was on the porch of the, Nature Museum, and there's a large group of bicyclists coming through town. And we were made aware from, the residents were made aware from Morgan, that this was going to happen, and please be courteous and patient and all that. And, this person, I don't know if they live in Grafton or not. If they don't, they live either side of us somewhere here, but they seem to know the road. And so, or the roads. And so anyways, I was out on the porch, we had some visitors that I was speaking with that had been in the museum. And a group of about 20 bicyclists came by, and they were heading towards the Cheese House in front of the Nature Museum. And his vehicle started accelerating like that by Pleasant Street. And he used the road in front of the Nature Museum and School Street there as a straightaway.
absolute straightaway. He had to have been going probably 60 miles an hour, if not faster. And we're standing on the porch, and you could hear him coming, because it's like a diesel sounding truck. And I looked, and he was in the other lane, passing all of these bicyclists and trying to get, seeming like he was trying to get by them before he made the corner, by the foundation maintenance area there. He didn't quite do it. The problem was, I was so overwhelmed by this whole thing, I thought we were gonna have mass casualties, I'm dead serious. And there's that much, and the bicyclists were moving quickly through town, they run like a road race from Boston to Stratton or somewhere. And so they were going very fast, and I think this gentleman miscalculated. And so he had really done it when he went by around the corner. And I thought, what a great spot to be passing all these things, and on the corner too. So to me, it seemed like he knew the road enough that he did not want to be behind all these bicyclists all the way to like the outdoor center. He would have been stuck behind them, God knows how long he was stuck behind them to start. I don't know, but it was so nerve wracking. I worked through the rest of the day. So I shot Morgan an email around 2:15 or something and said, whoa, and I misidentified the person. I don't know who it is, but I misidentified it by someone who's local because I see the vehicle a lot. And so anyways, and I apologize for that. So I don't know who it is, but I've been talking to people, and other people seem to see this person being around too. And so I guess we should try to do more due diligence, and you should try to do this problem. But it's really become a problem. Like I say, I'm at the Nature Museum every weekend. I could hand out tickets all day long. It was a lot of it is residents too. I will say, a lot of it is kind of locals too.
So,
Which I'm also, you know.
few things, so number one,
I'm learning a lot.
broadly, almost all of Vermont is dealing with this problem right now. I met with the sheriffs, from around the state, back a couple weeks ago. And this is actually an issue most of our rural communities, and some of our urban communities are facing. So to that end, after the pandemic, we saw a lot of changes with driving behavior. Some of that is because law enforcement agencies, as part of the pandemic response, backed off stopping cars. And then some unfortunate trends took place, and while agencies have been returning, not all of them have, we have. But that said, with limited contracts, we're not always able to get the same effect as quickly as possible, but no less, we are certainly focusing on that. I was looking at the reports for Grafton specifically, before we came today, and a lot of the work we're doing is actually motor vehicle related, with some other issues, mixed in. So that has been the focus of us here. We've certainly heard that. Number two, for anyone who sees this vehicle, you can get your license plate. And I know that that's sometimes a hard part, but that's also the easiest way for us to.
Trying to take photos, it's just nearly impossible.
They went so bad, I was more concerned with how many bikes were gonna get knocked over and
Sure.
what was gonna happen on the corner.
And with these aggravated instances, I understand that can be a hard thing to do, but if you find yourself in traffic and hey, there's the vehicle, that might be an opportunity for you to do it. So have a pen, have a piece of paper with you capable of writing, if you see it. Number three, thanks for letting us know. You may have already let us know more. You may have passed it along to us. I'm not sure on this very specific incident because I wasn't the one who actually would have worked on it. But us knowing about it is something that allows us to have awareness to share with our patrol deputies to say, hey, we have an issue with the black pickup truck. If
Yeah,
they,
well,
if
it's
they.
dark colored. I won't say it's black,
Okay.
it's dark colored. And I think it has a lift kit on it.
Yep.
And it's loud.
Yep.
So it's probably diesel. The other place I was, is that I was on, Route 121, and I was stopped at the stoplight, before I live on Fisher Hill Road. and I was stopped at that stoplight there, and I thought I was gonna get rear-ended. People come from by the fire station there, you know, and before that, very quickly, and I was in line. There was like 3 cars, and if there's more than 3 cars there, people come around down towards the Russian farm, that direction. Very, well, they drive again very quickly, well, I thought it was gonna get rear-ended. And I don't know if anybody else has had
That's
that
right.
issue at all.
That's happened to me, not
Um,
there. Going into my my Parker Hill Road. Cause I was a little waiting for the other cars so I could do it, and they came.
there is a warning sign that says stop light ahead. But maybe there needs to be another sign,
Whoever the project engineer, and this is something that the board might want to consider, whoever the project engineer for that job is. You might want to talk to them and say, we're identifying these issues, if it's a signage issue, if it's an issue with the project itself. They're the ones who control the traffic control plan, we don't have a say in that. Maybe Mark, no, it's probably not Mark here, trying to think who the district manager is. So Megan? So talk to Megan, and say, hey, how should we go about dealing with this? That might be something that we'll have to take into consideration.
sometimes we feel the cars filled up. I mean, someone's, you know, not unknowing that there's cars backed up. It's a good problem, we would just drive with fast, period.
That would be my encouragement, is talk to the project engineer.
Have you gone to some of the roads around here to see all the skid marks? Or whatever they call them, really?
Donuts.
You know, it's all over.
People hate their tires here. No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, there's a truck with duties
Yeah,
doing, you know.
That's my running joke, because in some of our more rural towns, we've been seeing this become a thing.
These kids?
It's, I don't wanna label it with a group of people. I wanna say in rural towns, we've been seeing it a lot. And
Not just grass.
that's my go-to, is people hate their tires because they're expensive and that will destroy them. That said, we certainly look for it, but it's such a short window to see it, hear it, and intervene that, we do our best.
Well, thank you for what you do to.
Yeah, and the other thing I would add is that if you do like, you've seen people, you guys, not you specifically, but park at the Navy Museum, and by the time we get the speed on the person, they're down the road. By the time that officer pulls out of the parking lot there at the Navy Museum and tries to catch up to the person, they're gone.
Well, like you say, I have sat across from there, and I have had many violations out of there, many.
Yeah. So it's tough, but it's tough to pull out and not cause
Some be
more.
safe, but they are in the 25 zone in theory, they're going up for you, I will catch them.
bad. Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming. And you've got a list of, complaints, so maybe that'll help catch some of these people.
We have some data.
You got it, okay,
So given that contract,
yeah,
shall we sign this? Do you wanna wait?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So the last page,
Just one signature? Just one signature, Morgan?
yes.
No, I'll say the same.
Now, you mentioned a meeting that's coming up
Friday,
this Friday, what time?
1 o'clock.
Well, is it gonna be on Zoom or? Is there a Zoom
I don't remember.
I got an email about it to the dad.
It was at 1 o'clock. I don't have a Zoom invite set up, but if I have enough people say I can join in a hybrid format, I will
Sit
certainly.
down,
come.
Mr. Bradwell?
I'll send you an email. probably.
Yeah, I've never seen him. I think I went.
Anything else?
I've got nothing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Kim, you're on, there you go.
I handed everybody out the quarterly reports last week. Keep in mind, those figures still have one more AP and payroll left to go through. It does look pretty bleak, but I can give you, some numbers that you will be able to take off the bottom number. Out of the general account, we have a total of probably $75,795. That is in the revenue portion. So it's coming from other funds. The sewer was reimbursed, but it's on the revenue side, but we have to show it on the expenditure. Workers' comp, we were charged extra for those who didn't have it during the flood. There is, the generator was on an expected $15,000 that we had budgeted for. So that pretty much makes up the $75,000 that was expended in the general that was unexpected. Then you go on to the highway. The highway had an over expenditure of $86,736. That was retreatment, and again, that's in the reserve. So it's in the revenue portion, but we have to show an expenditure. The July 21st rainstorm, we just barely got paid for that. That was $21,451. Better Back Roads is also grants that we get paid back, but we have to pay up front. That was $217,500. Grants and aids, $142 minor. The July 23 flood. Right now, we've expended a total of $793,579.48, which hopefully will be reimbursed, but it's been expended. And we have safety equipment that is in the grant side of the revenue, but we did spend $21,9438. Put the two together, $1,121,602.49 is actually sitting else, was in the revenue or anticipated being paid for. So if you were to take that off of what the entire expenditure for the town general and the highway, it leaves us with an expenditure of $1,222,231. Okay, we budgeted $1,232,000. So essentially, we're over by $8,200. And figure wise here, Black Point, we still have one more AP payroll. You can probably figure, well, you can probably figure maybe close to 100,000. As we go, the bridge, 77,000, this payroll. So, I mean, it looks really bleak when you look at that final number as to what we're over, but there's a lot of factors that play into that as to what we've got on the revenue side versus what we're expecting to come in. So, any questions?
You know, I think you have to remember that he did this budget back over a year ago. And things have changed since then too, unbeknown to us that we couldn't visit.
There's the sheriff contract that we increased mid-year. We had an employee leave that needed to be paid all of their vacation and so on that was due to them. So those were all factors that played into the budget that we hadn't anticipated.
Any questions? Really? If not, thank you, Ken.
Yeah.
Committee reports, the cemetery, I know that I talked to Springfield Fence, they promised me they're going to get somebody out there, so I will get on their tail and see if they can get it done. We haven't, John and I have not talked about, expanding the cemeteries, because the individual sold his house. So it's something I think that John and I have to, try to meet with him and see if the new owners are willing to do what the old owners want to do.
Is this for Hilton?
Yeah, the whole, yeah. And I think that we never did get an answer from, the property, near the Burgess Cemetery from, no,
I don't,
I don't remember.
No, the Mullen.
We never got an answer. If anybody knows of any, people or any land that's available for inclusive cemeteries, let us know. That we are running, we are gonna run out of space in the near future, so. It's something we have to deal with. Personnel?
Hopefully before July 1st, so the evaluations will be done. You know, Colby has to do his crew. Personnel committee will do Morgan's. And we'll talk further about the board deciding the fourth person on the crew. That's has not been decided yet, so.
Wastewater, do you have anything, Morgan? I don't think there's anything happening.
no, I reached out to Emily Hackett last
Yeah, I
week
saw that.
and
She hasn't got back.
no.
No.
So, Suzanne made a good suggestion, maybe we should just call the commissioner directly. So hopefully, at some point this week, maybe you and I could sit down
Okay.
and have a conversation. Because we've had no feedback at all from the letter that we sent about a month ago now, so we, don't have any update as to where the project stands at all, other than time bond, they're supposed to still be working on their 90%.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
The flood update, Bill's not here,
I'll just give a quick
okay?
touch on that. Bill and I met with FEMA last week and we are continuing to talk about the Eastern Road block wall. There was confusion about us requesting only reimbursement for the engineering services. But we made it clear that this project has to be at the bare minimum repaired to what it was. Our engineering company that we hired, they strongly advise not to put back the waste blocks exactly how it was, because it's proven time and time again that it doesn't withstand large volumes of water at all, so. The best update I can give is Bill and I are continuously going back and forth with FEMA about this project, and hopefully by the next meeting, we have some type of guidance.
John, you want to? Okay, workers' compensation, which is a real issue. John, I know you,
We have 3 people that are that work in their working contract. Now, you got Bill and your 2 flaggers. So you've already made a decision to do it, 3 of them. So I don't know what you want to do with additional ones. To me, it isn't really fair to the person that have to buy workers' comp. But I don't know what you're gonna do. You've got the stones in the cemetery to finish, you've got that fence to put up. Who are you gonna hire to do it? You've got to hire somebody that has workers' comp.
Higher than the step you're in work.
but Morgan, you did talk to, insurance. And they did address the cemetery thing in some degree, I think, I do believe.
Yeah, I specifically asked about that one because that cemeteries are tricky in general. She said that the mowing the cemeteries would be considered a municipal, part of municipal duties, so that would definitely be under, where you would need workers' comp for. And then she said the headstone repair or replacement is kind of a gray area, but it would be considered an exposure charge. So she said at the very least, they should have a signed and dated non-employee work agreement, a fully executed contract that has both harmless language and clearly states they're not an employee of the town or eligible for any of the benefits. If we do all of that though, there is still an exposure charge that passive, charges the town. there is an option about having them as a temporary employee, like John said, where the town would take out all of those. I don't know if you can talk more about.
Well, the town would just have to add that to our payroll and, workers' comp that we pay is based on what our projected payroll would be.
Mm.
And then again, you know, then you're picking up if an accident should happen, just like any other employee.
Right.
But the mowers are because in our general fund, the way we have cemeteries now. Itemized, we no longer itemize the workers' comp, we itemize them as contractors. When Walter was working and so was Jim, they were actually employees, and we took out workers' comp, Medi, FICA. Whereas now that's taken out of there, we don't pay any of that and we use a contractor. And that's how we get away with all.
I don't know, where do you draw the line? Who do you put on the payroll, who don't, who do you put on the payroll?
I don't know, but I think you have another issue is that the town's responsibility is to maintain cemeteries. That's part of our job. So if you can't maintain them because you can't find somebody who has workers' comp, what do we do?
Bid it out like we do now, put that in with it, the mowing and the.
But Hennessy will probably be able to repair the stones, and they are a business, we would just have to use Ben and Hennessy to repair the stones. If you're putting up the fence, the Springfield fence, they would do the installation,
Right.
they would be
They
covered.
probably have this.
So in using the mowers, they are contracted, and the contractors will carry like they do now, workers' comp. So there's not a whole lot more with the cemeteries.
So I think we have to do, is contact Ben and Hennessy and get an estimate to complete the cemeteries that stones are not completed.
Or there's also, you know, there are some masonaries that do carry workers' comp. And we can always check with a masonry, even if it's a local one. And see if they can, as long as they have workers' comp.
I think we should do that. I mean, they need to get repaired.
Right.
That's something we need to do. But as what the policy is, I don't know, I think we have to come up with some policy. Either we pay it or we don't pay it, and that. I mean, it is something we have to do. It is we can't keep ignoring it.
So you pay the exposure fee. And we're protected. And the person doing the work is protected, is that correct?
They would be under our insurance.
So
Yeah,
that's what you have to really look.
but then what happens is if they have a problem, then we get penalized. And when you get penalized, it's 5 years that you have to pay the ongoing. So it's not something you pay 1 year and then it goes away. It doesn't. It stays 5 years.
That's right.
And it doesn't make any difference how good you are.
Yeah.
But that's what it is.
Yeah.
So it's really a tremendous exposure to the town.
And depending on what job it is, it's a different rate.
Yeah.
Well, we asked for advice from our attorney. And he hasn't got back.
They haven't got back yet.
And that is just one instance, we've got 5 or 6 different instances that we've asked for advice from the attorney, and he won't even acknowledge that we have called him. I think we should be doing something with that.
Well, I think you're right.
But maybe he had some idea of how we can handle it, but if you can't get a hold of him.
Well, let's see if we can't reach him up. We get him to respond. And then we can address that next meeting.
I think you should call
Yeah, I will. Well, I will call him. Anything else? Cemetery deed,
Yeah, so this is a deed,
who signs this?
do you mind passing that over?
Who signs that?
Steve. This is for William Hoffman for Quad the Fulton Wilson. So I would just need a motion to approve Steve for signing that.
Somebody making a motion?
So moved.
it.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. And opposed? Okay. Any other business? Do we have?
Did you get a bid on the, go back to the,
Yeah, I knew I was forgetting something. I'm gonna write it down, so.
What was that, Shannon?
Transfer switch.
transfer switch?
Oh, yeah. You know what, the business public comment? You have any public comment? Yes, or there?
Thank you, Joe. Just wondering what the select board's plan is for putting the short-term rental ordinance on the agenda for a select board meeting. We have a lot of, houses going on the market in town, and we have still no short-term rental ordinance.
That's one of the things that we're asking the attorney to review, and so that's. It's in the hands of the attorney, so when I call him. I will remind him of these things that he has to do or give us advice on. And
So
then
how about next meeting?
we'll try. If we can get a commitment or some suggestions from the attorney, obviously, yes, we'll do that. I mean, that's really what we need to do.
That's great, thanks, Joe.
It's in a draft form, just have to be okay,
Yeah.
suggest, maybe.
Well, the whole process, I mean, we have to do the ordinance and public hearing and all, but we want to get the ordinance down properly so that we can all comment on it. Any other public comment? If not, next regular meeting will be Monday, July 1st, here at 6 P.M. And I don't know if you're gonna have any other kind of BTAs or whatever, but,
Yes.
if you do, then you'll be able to let us know.
Yeah, I'll let you
So,
know in 15 minutes.
Right. And motion to adjourn? You don't want to stay here?
Oh, thank you.
All in favor, say aye. All righty. Thank you for coming, everybody.